Welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel to DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and Furious. We will review the theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. Tonight, we're reviewing WandaVision, episodes 1 and 2, which debuted recently on Disney+. I am your host, Doc Rotten, and joining me tonight are the Gru Crew, starting off with the Slattman. How you doing, sir?
Fun fact, did you know that married men are killing single men?
At an alarming rate, I hear. Also joining us tonight, the award-winning filmmaker, Christopher G. Moore.
How's it doing? How you doing today? I'm having a gas here.
It's going to be a gas. Oh, no, it was. But I'll take it. Tonight, we want to welcome for the first time special guest, Enchanted Raven, coming in here to talk about WandaVision. You are described as a Disnerd cosplayer who owns her own party princess company called Enchanted Wishes. Disnerd. Disnerd.
You're having such a problem with that term.
Your new favorite word.
Yeah, you have to realize he has problems with words.
The English language in general.
Yes.
It's fine. I do too. That's why I came up with Disnerd.
Disnerd. I like it. I like it a lot. But along with Disnerd, you also like superheroes as well. I understand.
Absolutely.
And,
I love superheroes.
And your Enchanted Wishes does Disney princesses and superheroes?
Yes. We have Captain America, Black Panther. We're getting a Falcon. So we've got a good range. And of course, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. You can't do it without Spider-Man, can you?
Spider-Man's the best.
Well, if you ever need a Doctor Stranger Things,
Doctor Strange.
let me know.
Doctor Strange is my favorite. So.
There you go. All right. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about WandaVision. We're going to give our first impressions, and then we're going to discuss things. When we get into discussing things, we're going to do spoilers. We'll give a spoiler warning. We'll do a spoiler. Good God, help me out. We're going to do
Turned into Vision.
spoiler warning at that point.
Something's coming up the works.
You know, you're not so bad.
You're killing me. Then we're going to wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. We're talking about, we've been waiting a year for something Marvel because of this damn COVID. And we finally get it with WandaVision, which was supposed to be the second show to debut on Disney+. The first one.
It was?
Yeah, Falcon.
I learned something new today.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be first, but because of the shooting schedule, WandaVision made it out first. This is the first 2 episodes debuted on January 15th, 2021 on Disney+. Directed by Matt Shakman, both episodes. They were written by Jack Schaefer and Gretchen Enders. Gretchen Enders did the second episode along with Jack. The cast includes Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Catherine Hahn, Teyonah Parris, Fred Malamed, Deborah Job Rupp, yay, Asa Valley, and Emma Caulfield Ford. The synopsis for both episodes are: Wanda and Vision struggle to conceal their powers during dinner with the Vision's boss and wife. The second episode, in an effort to fit in, Wanda and Vision perform a magic act in their community talent show. If that sounds like it's a sitcom, well, you were paying attention because this is presented in a sitcom-like scenario.
Live studio audience included.
Well, that's right. It felt like a laugh track, but we'll go with it.
Second episode was laugh track.
Second episode was laugh track? All right. It was a bold decision, and we're going to talk about tonight whether it paid off or not. So let's do our first impressions. Slattman, you are first, sir. Let us have it.
It paid off.
Yay!
It paid off big. I will say, though, I am very happy they released both episodes at the same time because they flow into each other so well. If they had just released one episode and not episode 2, it probably would have. I don't think I would be rating it as high at the end of this podcast. Let's just say that.
That's interesting.
But as a whole, I loved it. I thought it was great. It's great to see these characters again. It's great to see Marvel stuff again. And man, there are some mic drop moments that I cannot wait to talk about.
There's some good fun stuff in this. All right, Raven, you're up next. Give us your first impression of WandaVision.
I was already super hyped for this show. So going in, I had pretty high expectations, and I am happy to say that they were met. I loved every single minute. I was hooked every single minute, and it just really keeps you on your toes. It's so interesting how everything's done, and I cannot wait for episode 3.
You and me both. All right, Christopher G. Moore, what was your first impression of WandaVision?
You know, I think it's kind of sad to me because there seems to be a divided response to this. And I think a lot of it has to do with the slow burn and how this whole storyline is evolving using the different decades of television. I think this show is brilliant just by the first 2 episodes. I think it's great to see Marvel trying something different, going outside of the wheelhouse and doing something that's actually really interesting and unique. And also just the attention to detail. You know, Dick Van Dyke was an advisor on the first episode.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And because it actually pays homage to like Dick Van Dyke, those type of shows. In fact, the little fake intro at the very beginning is almost like Dick Van Dyke.
And the second episode is Bewitched.
More Bewitched.
Very much Bewitched.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of other things as well that they pay homage to. But you know, they even had a real studio audience for the first episode. They had canned laughter for the second episode. It's sort of like how decades changed and how they use more canned laughter and stuff later on. So just the attention to detail with all this stuff is just amazing. And I have to say, I've never really been a big fan. Don't hate on me. I've never really been a big fan of Elizabeth Olsen as an actress, to be honest. I mean, her accent changed in different movies. In this one, she's brilliant because she pulls off that sort of like, she pulls off the way those type of characters acted, and Paul Bettany, you get to see both of their comedic chops when it comes to this. So I think it's really brilliant because I think, you know, people are just like focusing on how it sort of like pays homage to those type of shows and feels like a show from those eras. But at the same time, there's all this underlying stuff that ties in to stuff that if you pay attention from the dialogue to the sequences that happen, and even some of the intros have hidden little Easter eggs, and there's so many hidden details that I think it's one of those things that you watch it and you come away from it and you think about it again. You're like, oh gosh, there's more to this than meets the eye. So, so yeah, I think this show is brilliant, and it makes me really excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. I applaud them for being so bold. This isn't your typical superhero story in any fashion. There actually is no action. There's no fights, and I think a lot of people are responding poorly to that. But if you are approaching it with what they're after, where they're building it, and they're basing each episode basically on a decade of sitcoms, it is so unique, and it's so rich with the comedy and the characters and the mystery. It's a mystery. It really is a mystery buried in these sitcoms because what's happening? How did they get here? What's going on? And there's so much, and even in the first episode is really wrapped up in that, but it's masked by this typical 50s sitcom story where they gotta press the pause. Although, yeah, well, we'll get into specifics when we do the spoilers, but standout things are, like you said, Christopher, the Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen are so hilarious, and
Catherine Hahn is like one of the standouts of this.
She absolutely is as Agnes, but what they bring together and then in their individual little skits is truly is remarkable. The chemistry is fantastic. And the way they approach, there's just so much interesting stuff. Like the 50s one has, the old timey Hollywood language, dialogue, the how people spoke. slightly different. And in the 60s is so bewitched that it's kind of crazy. It's which is perfect, right?
They use lenses, like camera lenses from that time period to shoot all the first episode. So just the attention to detail, staging. There's certain types of shots that you only had during those type of sitcoms, and I think that's why it's so amazing that they got Dick Van Dyke, who I just read an article today about it. He hadn't even heard of the MCU. He didn't even know it was like a big thing.
Why does that not surprise me?
But yeah, just to get him to sort of like who lived through the era and created a very iconic television show, and just how they were able to sort of like from. And I think the second episode definitely not only Bewitched, but has a little bit of I Dream of Jeannie, has a lot of those type of things from those specific eras.
Absolutely.
But yeah, just the attention to detail. It feels like, even it starts off in that 4:3 aspect ratio because television back then didn't have widescreen. So, you had those type of things, or even the fake commercials in between where they have the couple that looks like Desi and Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz. So it's, yeah, I'm so giddy over this show because it's like this is a Marvel show. It's like they're taking so many chances, and there's people that definitely don't like it, but I think it's one of those things where you have to see all the episodes probably as a whole to truly appreciate it. But I love it when you peel those layers from it. To me, this is like Lost or Twin Peaks. It has those sort of mystery elements that you keep peeling the layers away to find out like what exactly is happening, and look at all the different YouTube videos where they're examining everything, from the intro to the second one where you see little possible characters that might be involved. It's just,
nope.
I don't know. It's just like, I think it's one of these things you want to go back watch it again just to catch those specific, like somebody had mentioned something about the inside of his hat in one scene, and I went back and freeze framed it to see if it was there. So yeah, I love that aspect of it, because I think sadly with most Marvel movies you sort of know where it's kind of go, and this one you don't. You kind of know maybe somebody's behind this, but you want to know. We still want to see where it goes, and I love it how they're going to play out each episode based on a different decade of television.
Yeah, there are some comics out there that this is being based off of.
Yeah.
But it is being woven in a very unique and special way. All right, from here on, we're going to dive into spoilers. We have to talk about all the crazy special things that happen in these 2 episodes. And if you haven't watched them, go watch them. They're on Disney Plus. They're only 30 minutes each. They go by so quick, and they are so delightful. I think we're all going to heartily recommend them. And then come back and check out these spoilers. But let's dive into it. Let's start with the commercials, because the commercials have like little crazy things in them. I guess we also should say that both episodes are black and white.
For the most part.
For the most part, the first episode has one bit of color, and then the second episode brings in more. But the commercials bring in references to other areas of the MCU. The first one, of course, is literally Stark Enterprises builds that toaster thing, but is there more? Is there more? What's the red light? Why is the light red?
So I read an interesting theory about that, and a lot of this is based on the assumption that and we don't know if this is true or not, for the record. This is a lot of this is based on the assumption that all of this is taking place inside of Wanda's mind, and they have the theory that the toaster with the blinking light and stuff, and it being from Stark Enterprises, represents the bombs that destroyed her hometown.
Because there's that kind of ticking noise. Also, it makes the repulsor noise from Iron Man.
Yeah. Well, there is another Iron Man reference. A toy helicopter crashes into the bushes, and it's in color when everything else is black and white.
And it has sword.
Yes, and it has Iron Man colors.
Well, I mean, for the most part, it's mostly red, and I feel like red's more important.
No, that's red and orange. So yeah,
it makes you. For some reason, I'm thinking, would it be funny if they just throw in all these references just to throw people off?
No, they might.
Make them think that They know
But
what
at
you're
the same
doing.
time, they're so consistent with it because the beekeeper outfit at the end had the same logo that the helicopter did. So
Okay. Does anybody know who AIM is? Is it just me? Just me?
who?
AIM.
I know from the YouTube videos I've been watching.
All right. AIM are typically have these costumes, and they always call them beekeepers because they're yellow and they're square head, and they have like the little beekeeper face. So I took it because I'm a Marvel nerd that it was AIM, the AIM characters coming,
Which
up.
is part of the bad guys. So
Or the bad guys.
I think it's one of those things where I think both the good guys with sword are trying to infiltrate.
Yep.
You know, supposedly there's a scene where a helicopter goes into the bubble, so maybe the helicopter turned into the helicopter. And then secondly, you have people from the bad guys, the Hydra, who have their little bee dudes coming in there.
Hydra and AIM are always hand in hand,
trying to mess up the works. And I mean, there's so many different things. Like, people think that Agnes might be Agatha Harkness, who's a witch that was around during the Salem witch trials.
Well, she's also a big character who trained Wanda with her skills.
Well, also you see the Grim Reaper's helmet in the opening intro of the second season. Second episode.
Mm-hmm. It's in between the floorboards, so they literally have skeletons in their closet.
I did not catch that.
Yeah, I mean, there's little things like that you don't think about.
People have so many theories about Agnes's husband as well. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what some of the big ones are.
Well, there's also
one, right?
Well, there's also Mephisto, which might play into the Doctor Strange movie that's coming out. So yeah,
apparently this is supposed to tie in. Funny enough, it seems all of the stuff that Marvel's coming out, save for like Falcon and Winter Soldier, but like Spider-Man, WandaVision, and Loki even is all supposed to tie into Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you think about it, I think Mephisto's, he's like the devil character in the Marvel universe. And so like if he gives people wishes, what if he sort of gave her the wish that she could have?
And see, it's funny that you say that, because if I literally rewatched it this morning. So I noticed that when the beekeeper came out of the sewer, Wanda stopped for a minute and she said no. And as soon as she said no, it rewound. So I'm wondering just how much, you could be right. This could be her dream. And she's like, no, I want this to be perfect. You need to get out. And so she maybe mentally went back, or somehow they took her back. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting that she responded to that.
And that plays into the scene with the radio, because I think that's supposed to be
Randall Park.
Randall Park, yeah.
And he's from Ant-Man and Wasp, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
And then we saw a female hand at the end of the first episode, with the sword logo watching, and they're watching everything as if it were a TV show.
Also, the what's her name? Is it Rambo? The
Monica Rambeau?
Yeah, her character, her necklace is the sword logo.
Ah, yes. The second commercial, we'll wrap this up because we got to talk about other things. Has a lot of Hydra stuff, and Strucker, of course, the watch is Strucker's the one that gave her the powers. Her and Quicksilver. Will we see Quicksilver again?
I mean,
this is her perfect world.
Maybe there's going to be there might be some surprise. All right, so we got to get to the at the heart of this is the Vision and Wanda, of course, being married. They establish their anniversary. They get rings. They establish that that they want to be married if they aren't, and then we get hints in both episodes very strongly about children. The first one is
for the children.
The second one very much.
The second one very much so.
Very much. Well, the first one was Deborah Jo Rupp as the wife of the boss, and she very much is. Why are you going to have children? Do you have children? When are you going to? So it's very much about that. But yeah, the second one even more so with It's All About the Children. And of course, it ends with
Children.
her showing a baby bump. And that's where she goes, is this really happening? Is this really
Side
happening?
note, did anyone else have a Hot Fuzz, like think back to Hot Fuzz whenever they were like, for the children?
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's good.
That and there's no children in that whole town. Even
Yeah,
even
they
when
did a children's fundraiser and there were no
there's
children.
no children in the audience, it's all adults. So it's almost like the reverse of Children of the Corn, where it's like,
And it's all the same people.
yeah.
There's
So
no like background extras or anything. It's all the same people.
Well, we do meet a new person in the second episode. Well, two new people, right?
Yeah.
We meet what is their name? Oh my gosh, I've totally forgotten already. That's so terrible. Dottie, right? Dottie is the one that's running. Is she the one that's running the?
Yeah, she's the mean one.
AKA Anya from Buffy the Vampire
I'm so
Slayer.
happy to see her in something again.
Really? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't make that connection. But she cuts her hand, and the blood is red.
Do you know how to get rid of how housewife gets rid of blood from white linen?
By herself.
Well, and that seems to happen whenever anybody questions something. You know, we had that with the choking on the food in the first episode.
Mhm.
They're trying to question how they got there, and then the second one when she's like, you know, something's up with you, something's wrong here or something.
Can we also talk about how those are the only moments when the camera work turns into more modern work with like zoom ins and zoom and like pans and everything, as opposed to quick cuts like it would have been done in the eras that they're trying to replicate?
Yeah, anything that's becomes questionable, like when they go outside to see the beekeeper dude.
That's actually my favorite scene in the first episode, is when the camera like just suddenly flips. And that's when you know that something's up. When the camera changes, something's not right.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the best things about this to get us through the first two episodes is the comedy. And Paul Bettany's makes a funny drunk Vision. I'm just saying.
I
don't have a skeleton.
I know. they get a mileage out of that, don't they? But the fact that the gums up his works and the little art, the little animation.
The animation was perfect.
Oh my God, it was.
Oh, yeah.
But that magic, I could watch that magic trick segment over and over again.
It feels like something out of Bewitched, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
You know, like where she's having to make up for Darren to be do whatever. I think that just that, to me, I felt like I was watching some old TV show on like MeTV or something, Yep. So it just, I think I think that just shows you. I mean, Paul Bettany's usually he's pretty good between drama and comedy in general, but I think him playing off of Olsen, they're just perfect. Her having to deal with his goofiness in that scene.
Yeah,
And the chemistry, just even in serious moments too, is great.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. What the first lines they have is like, my wife and her flying saucers, my husband and his indestructible.
Yeah,
health.
it's
so perfect,
and
right?
it's like there's underlying meaning to those things.
Yeah.
Even when Catherine Hahn, who's my favorite in this whole series so far, her references are to a lot of stuff. There's a part where she talks about like a snap, and you're thinking, "Oh crap, the snap thing."
I didn't even think about that. Oh my God.
I didn't even figure that out.
I mean, if you go back and listen to her dialogue, it's almost like she's pointing out things. There's even a part where like they say something about the devil. The devil is in details. It's like, that's not the only place he is or something. So there's like, you're wondering like, oh crap, and then it's like, if you go back and look when she's trying to get Scarlet Witch to do certain things, to get to not thinking like when she finds that helicopter, when she's doing things to get her mind off of it, you can see her expressions change because she wants her to be living in this fantasy world. So you're wondering like what level is she maybe manipulating things? But yeah, I mean, but the thing is, that's what I love about the underlying layers of this series, is because you have these pieces of dialogue that fit right into those type of shows, but there's meaning behind every little thing they say. And so that makes it more menacing and more mysterious, because you realize that there's people in here that are probably being manipulated and don't know what the hell's going on. And then you have other people that are like, that they're trying to manipulate along with them. So in the same way that we have people from SOAR that are supposedly infiltrating, and there's probably people from Hydra that are infiltrating. So it's just like, and then she's in the midst of it, still trying to create her own, fantasy world, because she wants to live this idyllic life that she probably reflects to her growing up as a kid in Slovakia or whatever she's from. So yeah, it's, I don't know. I think when you pay attention to those layers, that's what makes this show so cool. And I wish people that don't see beyond the TV show aspect of it, and I think once we get into other episodes, we'll realize how many layers are to this show.
Yeah, they're too focused on the lack of action.
Yeah, and I've heard that it does get kind of more action oriented, maybe I guess later on. But I think, come on, does everything have to be the same?
I feel like the show is going to be a slow burn, but the payoff is going to, like, I'm already enjoying it, but the payoff, is going to be epic.
Yeah, the last 2 to 3 episodes are probably going to be like in-game levels of like, holy crap, like one after another.
Supposedly there's more effect shots in this than there were in in-games, which I don't know how that's possible.
Considering it's Scarlet Witch, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Well, that rope to hang the Vision up, while he's flying, cost a lot of money.
Well, to go along with that,
he wasn't flying.
Well, see, that's what I love about it. They'd use old TV tricks of like these jump cuts.
Yes.
Like when their rings appear on their fingers, they just jump to a cut where the rings are on their fingers, instead of what you do normally nowadays, where you probably make it visual effects wise, just make it appear. I love that part of it.
I like the line. Is that how mirrors work?
Yes.
That was my thought too.
We'll go with it. All right. So I am a big fan of the Wanda and the Vision character as a couple, and they had a comic back in, I think it was the 80s, and the result of that is the two children, and the two children have now become superheroes in and of themselves. But there's this all crazy history between the end of end of that miniseries and what today is. But I'm excited to see if they're going to take this and head toward what they call the Young Avengers. And from what I hear, that's the direction we're going. And are any of you familiar with what the Young Avengers may be?
Yeah,
I know it by name at
bit,
the very least.
Well, they've been introducing characters slowly and surely throughout the other series. Hawkeye's daughter, Iron Man, possibly there's another Ant-Man's daughter, right? And all these characters end up with their own little sets of powers, and they join forces to become the Young Avengers. And that if they follow through with that, they're going to succeed where Defenders on Netflix failed. I think it's going to be fun.
Well, I mean, I think.
I guess
we'll see. I guess we'll see how it plays out. I mean, right now I'm just enjoying what they're doing with this. I really don't even care about the Avengers that might be created from this or whatever. But I think also just how they're playing around with some of the elements from the different comics that this is based on and stuff, And again, there's like so many different references. I mean, even like the wine that's poured in that one scene. Supposedly the first word is French for house of M, so there's and if you look at the magic box, the outside of it is actually his little gem, the Vision's gem. The Mind Stone is on the outside of the magic box.
And there's a symbol on his tie that people are trying to figure out as well.
Yeah, there's different. I mean, even like when the sort of the Bewitched intro of the second episode happens, it's like the moon, and there's like the same number of stars around it as they are in the
Ooh.
Hexagon.
Yeah,
People are thinking that hexagons are going to be important, and it's just coincidental that it's with the amount of infinity stones.
well, that and you have a guy in a beekeeper suit, and bees create hives, and the hives
Mm.
are created in hexagons, right?
That we're all leading to the first Resident Evil movie with the hive.
Oh,
No.
let's not ruin that.
Murder!
Let's not ruin that. No, but it's there's
Hive mind, actually, though.
hive mind, yeah.
If it's all simulation and everybody's being controlled by one thing.
Well, I think there's like one comic where they.
Listen to me now.
I think one of the comics is that they get Scarlet Witch to have children, and then they steal the children away and make her forget she had children.
Yeah,
So-
I remember that.
So it'd be interesting to see if that's something that they play around with this. Maybe that's what Agnes is doing. I don't know. I mean, but I don't know. I guess it'll be interesting as these different forces are trying to infiltrate the world more and more as this goes along.
Well, something that I noticed is if you rewatch the dinner scene, and even with Catherine when she is asking all of her questions, Vision's boss, Mr. Hart, is like drilling them about why are you here? Who are you? Where did you come from? And it almost makes you feel like they're manipulating him to say that in order to get her to maybe reveal something.
Mhm.
That's a thought that I had, because
Yeah.
it was too aggressive to like overlook. Like no one's that aggressive and they're like, who are you? Where'd you come from? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it was also out of character for the show.
Well, that
Yeah.
and it seemed like that Scarlet Witch made him choke on purpose, to stop it from asking questions.
Yep.
And there's that whole that's one of those scenes where it goes off into Weirdville, where the camera
Yep.
stuff
Yeah.
changes because the wife keeps repeating,
Stop it.
stop it.
And she's
Over and over.
laughing, but you can see in her face as the more she says it, the more there's like this desperation
Yeah.
to it, where she's like, please stop it. I
Well-
need you to stop it.
Well, I think that's what makes it interesting is like are these just like innocent bystanders in this whole dream world? To what level are they, participants voluntarily? It's like there's so many questions to all this stuff. It's like, and I'm kind of glad it's not one of those things where they just throw it all out there in the very beginning. You have to wait around. I think there's just too many impatient people that want to get to the good stuff. But sometimes you gotta, in order to cook a delicious dinner, you still have to cook it. You just can't go straight to just pulling it out of the oven.
There you go. We love
Me and my
that.
food
There you
analogies.
go. All right, well, let's wrap these up. We're going to give our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scene. But before we do, if you're listening this long, first, thank you. Second, if you want to help spread the word, one thing is you could share. Two, you can hit the subscribe button. That would be a great thing. You can also hit the like or dislike, either one. And if you want to find out more, hit the bell. Smash that bell, ladies.
Like it.
Leave us some comments. I'm sure we missed something that you want to tell us about. We'd love to hear about down below. All right, let's do this. We'll do the same order. So that means Slattman, you are up first. Final thoughts, score 1 to 5, and favorite scene.
They're doing a very good job with this. It's excellent. It's set up such a great mystery, and it has just enough like little references, little hints, little everything. Oh, hi, cat. Of
Agnes's cat.
it has just enough.
Spoiler.
There's just enough in there to really rope you in and to get you thinking, like, what's going on? Who is behind this? Is there someone behind this? Where are we? When are we actually? Like, there's so many little things, and the moments that really stand out, like every time that something kind of cuckoo happens and the camera goes into a more modern way of just shooting a scene, and dynamic camera work and stuff to emphasize that this is out of the time zone. This is out of the perfect reality. This is out of character for the world that we're in. Those moments really hook you in and really make it so you want to keep watching. The acting is all phenomenal, even down to the side characters. Like, they're really giving it their all, and the ones that are just like that kind of seem like kind of just there because they have to be there as like side characters. They're interesting, and they're entertaining to watch. And then the main characters, the main like 5 or 4 or 5 that we have, reoccurring characters, they're excellent. They're all done very well, and the dialogue is great, and the writing is awesome, and I'm gonna give it a 5.
Yay!
I really like the first 2 episodes. I am going back though. I am really happy they put the first 2 episodes out at the same time, because I do think that it would have been more like a 4 if they had ended it. If they had only released the first episode, because I really think the second episode is what really hooks you in. The first episode's good. The second episode is just really brings more of it together.
Somebody's dying for your attention there.
I know. My favorite scene is there's a lot of really good scenes. It's I didn't give this enough thought before.
Can I pick all of this?
It's it's probably the scene with
The suspense is killing me.
I know. I don't even know. I don't even know. Probably the gum scene.
Very good.
That scene is very well done.
I love it. Thank you. All right, Raven, you're up next. Give us your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene. Scores 1 to 5.
Final thoughts are, I am on the edge of my seat. Literally every detail, as Christopher was saying, every detail is just so thought out and just makes you want to know more, and it's one of those where, you watch a show and you watch episode after episode and you end up with more questions. But with this one, that they're going to answer them. You're not going to be left in the dark for long. And I'm just so intrigued to see where they're going to go. And honestly, I cannot wait to see the other episodes as well. Especially, I'm really hoping, I know it was like not a 70s show, but I really want, when we get to the 70s episode, for Deborah Jo to make some kind of kitty joke. I really want that.
They got to do it.
Oh, I know, right? Even if she just laughs like she does. I'm gonna give it a 5 as well. I absolutely love it. Favorite scene, honestly, is the very first episode where they're all sitting at the table and the camera changes, because it's the first time that that something is wrong. Something happened. And with everyone's expression changing and the camera changing, and you just feel the intensity of the scene. And like, I was on the edge of my seat, like, what's going to happen? Is he going to die? Is he going to save him? What's going on? And I just, from that moment on, I was even more hooked than I already was. So
perfect. Christopher G. Moore, you are up next, sir.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that the Kevin Feige in the Marvel universe, they sort of trying something different. I think that's the good thing about Disney Plus, is that when they're creating shows for this service, they don't necessarily have to worry about box office or any of that kind of stuff. They could just make their own types of stories. And I think we're going to see that probably in some of the other shows as well. And so, yeah, I love this. And I think, this isn't some kind of thing where they just slap stuff together and just created some sets of an old-timey TV show. They actually put some effort into it, whether it's down to replicating how those shows are shot or how they're staged, how they're acted, from the scripting, to even how they, the types of lenses they use for those type of shows. But at the same time, they also allow those mysteries to unfold, and there's so much underlying things to the production design, to the dialogue, to the intros, or even the fake commercials, to where you see those homages to stuff, but then you also see those Easter eggs that either are, because anytime you see a number, it's not just some random number they threw in there. There's a reasoning behind that. I think there's I think the number that's on the little toy helicopter supposedly is one of the comics that deals with certain elements of the show, so even numbers are very important. So, and that attention to detail, I think, really shows that they put a lot of passion and heart into this, and the guy who directed it, he not only has he directed, what was it? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's directed several episodes of that, so he knows how to direct a sitcom. But he also directed an episode of Game of Thrones, so he knows how to do action as well. So they have a lot of really talented people, behind the camera, in front of the camera. I'm really amazed by what the actors that are doing when they're trying to pull off these different decades of how those actors did back in the day, pulling off that, whether it's a Dick Van Dyke or Bewitched or any of those type of things, and I enjoy every word that comes out of Catherine Hahn's mouth, because she is playing that to the hilt, my friends. Just how she delivers lines are so big. They're just like those secondary characters that you see on any of those shows, or even like shows today when it comes to sitcoms. So she's delivering it with a lot of earnesty and sort of just full on like craziness that, but at the same time, there's also an underlying possible evil to that as well. So I don't know. I just love every aspect of this. And I'm kind of sad that some people can't get past that they need some kind of big explosions or, crazy special effects scenes involving Skrulls or something, which Skrulls could be a part of this as well, if you think about it. There's actually a YouTube video about that as well, which tie into stuff you've seen in the trailer. So, I love this, and I'll have to give it a 5 out of 5. And it makes me sad when I see people that there's a few people that have really hated on this, saying it's the worst thing the MCU's created. And I'm like, no,
I think only 2 episodes yet.
Yeah, it's like,
well, 2.
Well, and I think if you took once we get through all the episodes, I think a lot of this stuff will inform itself, and it's like seeing the tail of a creature. You don't really know the full length of what this creature is about until you see the full creature by the end. And I think that's what we're going to find out. But I think it's going to get crazier and wackier and mysterious and shocking as we go along once this story unfolds. And I can't wait to see what happens next. There's like so many different. I would pick the Magic Act. But I think your gum thing, are you saying, when you say gum thing, are you saying the whole Magic Act because of the gum?
Well, I was specifically talking about the scene when he swallows the gum and it makes him drunk.
Okay.
Like up until the Magic Act.
Okay. I'm saying the Magic Act, and I might be stealing this from Doc. I don't care. Because I think Paul Bettany's performance is comedic gold.
It is.
Along with Olsen as well, who has to play off of that, and even just how the people in the audience are reacting. I think my favorite moment is when she turns the piano
that was my mother's piano.
He's my favorite. Him in the first movie when he gets fired, or in the first episode when he gets fired.
And he's
like, I'm wearing a turtleneck.
And he's like the Great Value version of that guy from Friends. But Am I wrong with that? When I was like, at first I was like, is the guy from Friends on this? Oh, it's not. It's the Walmart version.
Oh, man, that's
But yeah, I think that magic act is so freaking funny. But again, a lot of these are fun. I think there's one part. If I had a secondary thing, it's the part where she makes the lobster go out the window. And when she opens the door and it's on the door and Kevin acts like it's a door knocker, I laughed. I fell off my couch. I was laughing so hard at that, even though it's a stupid joke, because it's one of those things with callbacks. But anyway, I'll stop. I loved it. The magic act is perfection, in my opinion.
Perfection. I absolutely love this too. All right, so you were talking about numbers. They live in 2008. Is the address, whatever street they're on, which is the year Iron Man came out. So there you go.
There's meaning behind every number.
Every number. I didn't really make that connection until you said that. All right, it's been 18 months since we had our last MCU because of COVID. And, we've got movies that were delayed on, TV shows that were delayed on, this one and a number of others. So it's been a long while. And this is so, even though it's funny, it's actually more mature than the movies, right? It is a mature approach to these characters in the respect of the relationship and, the mystery behind it and the whole concept in and of itself, in a structure sense, right? So I just want to applaud them. I think they're doing great. This is absolutely amazing. I love these characters, and I love that they're getting some semblance of a normal life, because you really felt that in the movies when they were just about to get together and all that stuff came down, right? And during the first one, right? And it's rewarding in that respect, and the mystery is building, and it's funny, and it was the perfect choice, I think, for doing it on Disney Plus in a serialized television format to do it this way. We're going to get our stereotypical superhero kind of story with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's going to be more mainstream, and I think people will really dig that. And then we're going to get something even stranger somewhere in between with Loki, and I can't wait. I can't wait for all of it.
Doctor Stranger.
Things. Yes. And I'm going to give it a 5 as well. I think it absolutely hit all those spots, and I'm just digging it, and I can't wait to watch each and every episode. I think we get 9, somewhere between 8 and 9. I'm not really sure.
I'm pretty sure it's 9.
9. And my favorite scene, it's the magic act, but it was taken, is going to be the end, which is going to encompass the whole, bun in the oven reveal to the fact that they go outside and they see the beekeeper and then rewind, and then everything transitions to color. And
that was almost my scene, by the way.
It was magical, right? It was a magical moment. And, it was like, okay, when we come back, it's going to look like the Brady Bunch, but let's wait. Because,
Yay. Marsha.
Yes.
Marsha.
But it just felt, to see the Vision in color and just to see that play out that way, it just, the red hair and it was just, and she was wearing a full red outfit. It was great.
Well, that and the house changes every time too. It's not always the same house.
Yep.
It was a one story on the first episode, like it would have, like the traditional home in the 50s, and then it was a 2-story home in the second episode, like a traditional home from the 60s.
Yeah.
And it looks like in the trailer, it'll look like the Brady Bunch house in the next episode.
Yep.
Yeah, she even has like Marsha hair.
Well, they did the thing about the bed, right? Because in the
that was also a very funny moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Transition to a more scandalous era of television.
Wow, the beds weren't separated. All right. Well, there you go. That was our reaction to WandaVision episodes 1 and 2. I hope you enjoyed us talking about it and look forward to continuing this through the remaining 7 episodes, if Slattman is correct, and I think he is. So we look forward to you returning to hear us talk about those. Raven, thank you for joining us. This was a joy to have you here. Will you continue to join us for the rest of WandaVision?
Yeah, I'd love to if you guys will have me.
Perfect.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. All right, Raven. Thank you. Christopher,
Yeah.
Slattman, thank you for joining me tonight. This was great.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome.
Let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.